We are live.
That's good. That's a good
I
start.
know, it's great. Right now, people are being serenaded. Just let the serenade.
What did you think of E3?
Welcome to the show, guys. Well, not much. uh, so E3 happened. It just ended. We're recording this we're streaming this directly to your ears, to your brains, and your eyes on Wednesday. So all like the main show events are over. I think they're just doing weird Coliseum stuff now. Is it esports? I'm not even keeping up with it.
Well, you've got this is open to the public now, and there's a lot of people there, and so they've got the open show floor, and then they're also doing private meetings with journalists and whatnot. And I think I heard that Nintendo announced a game today, but all the big stuff is done.
Yeah, all the pimping has pimped, and
pimping is pimped.
Yeah, we're ready to be sarcastic about it. So, what one came first? Do we want to start with EA? Or we're kind of just jumping right into it, but there's so much. I mean, it's been 3 weeks, so there's a lot to talk about.
In terms of E3, it was a small one, but it's still a lot to talk about. EA, I believe EA started the whole thing off, right? There's nothing before
I think
EA.
So. Let me pull up my handy dandy Polygon guide to E3.
EA broke new ground by announcing nothing. I mean, there was nothing there that was surprising at all.
There's BioWare Destiny. There's
actual Destiny. Did they have actual Destiny there? No, that's not EA. It's Activision.
Yeah,
that's Activision. Sorry. They had Battlefront. They had Battlefield 1 DLC. They had every single sports game.
It really bothers me. Before we get into the substance of Battlefront, just saying the name out there. Unlike that trend of now we're rebooting it and just calling it the name with no subtitle or number, that trend.
Yep.
This is worse than that. This is not like Star Wars Battlefront, like we're bringing it back. This is the new Battlefront. There is a game, the most popular game in the series, called Star Wars Battlefront 2. And they are now releasing Star Wars Battlefront 2 again.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen that. I haven't seen the numbered reboot overwrite the...
I think it also makes some of the same... I think it makes two of the same jumps. I don't know if the first Battlefront had both eras of Star Wars in it. It might have. But then also what Battlefront 2 did back in the day was it opened up space as a thing where it's like carrier to carrier space combat stuff. And I thought that's what Battlefront 2, this new Battlefront 2, see that's what they call it, is like us having to say old and new. But that's what I thought this new one was going to do. But then they didn't show that, which was kind of surprising to me. I'm pretty sure the new one has that in it, like total space battle 100%. Because I think that was one of the big things that they teased. And if that's not in it, then that's really surprising and weird. Because
I think they're going for it.
I assume they are, but
space battles legit.
What they showed was just I don't know. Here's more Battlefront. We have robots now. It was very apologetic.
Yeah, I was surprised. They said something like, we heard a lot of feedback. Some of it was that EA? Maybe I'm mixing it up.
Yeah, no, that was EA. He said some positive,
much constructive.
Constructive. That's what he said, and then he clarified that means negative, basically. And I guess I appreciate the candidness of that. But also it just looks like more Battlefront. I mean, I guess that was the biggest complaint with the first game.
That there wasn't enough
the first
there.
New game is that there was nothing there. I mean, it was a very, very, very bare bones game.
We got our engine working.
Yeah, so they're saying okay, now we've got more content, and they've said they've reworked the shooting mechanics and stuff like that. But from watching the gameplay, I don't know. It looks it looks fine. I guess I'm probably not gonna play it. I mean, I don't really see any reason to. It looks fine. I'm glad that they're at least addressing these specific problems that the players had with it. But I think that was their plan from the beginning, was to release Battlefront 1 as soon as possible, and then make Battlefront 2 a bigger version of Battlefront 1.
Did they line that up? Did that come out like right before Force Awakens? I think that's got to be part of it. That they had to get that out right at the right time.
It was around the same time, and so I'll give them credit. It didn't feel like a rushed game. It just was really bare bones. Like it's not like they cut corners with like quality control. It was fine. There were no, as far as I know, there were no like major glitches or weird things like that. Like it didn't feel unfinished. It just felt really, really simple. It felt like a $40 game or a $30 game instead of a $60 one.
Yeah, which is rough considering they then charge more for DLC after.
Another $60 basically if you want the season pass. And that's another thing they announced that was, I guess, surprising because the other model seems to work so well that I'm surprised they're doing it. But they're saying that like that extra DLC and stuff is going to be free, or at least the first couple, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't clear on it, but they're going to be releasing free shit, which means there's going to be microtransactions
and very surprising
out the wazoo. How they're going to monetize it, because like they already said something about a Yoda card. I think what's going to happen is you're going to burn cards to spawn in vehicles and as heroes and stuff like that. And so you could buy cards to be able to burn them on a match and be Yoda if you want to be Yoda. And so that's how they're going to get people to pay for it. And like, I guess I on the one hand, that's kind of annoying, but on the other hand, I really hate how I played some of Battlefield. Shit, I don't know which Battlefield it was. One of the more recent ones where once the DLCs came out, it's like, you've got some servers running all the DLC, some running none of it, some running some of it. And so like it kind of splits the community a lot. And anything that they can do to just release that DLC to everyone is a good thing. And like if Rubes want to pay money to be Yoda, then fine. I guess I'm really kind of okay with that.
What did you just say?
If Rubes want to pay money to be Yoda. But yeah, I don't know. I microtransactions are annoying, but so is paid DLC that splits multiplayer. Yeah,
it's not a word you hear every day.
I like that word. And I think it applies very well to people buying fucking microtransactions for Battlefront. They also showed, I lied about them not announcing any games. They announced A Way Out, which was made by the people who made the Brothers game. Was it just called Brothers?
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Okay. And A Way Out looks way more like... A Way Out looks like a movie. Like it's a little bit stylized, but it has more graphics and it has more narrative and more dialogue and stuff like that. It looks like a much bigger version of kind of what they were already doing. Like it looks like it's two brothers, or at least people who could be brothers, escaping jail and the adventure they go on to escape jail. And they don't seem like good guys, but you definitely play as them. Could be interesting, I guess.
And it's forced split screen co-op.
Is it forced?
Yeah. I'm reading about it now. It must be played co-op.
Interesting. Yeah, they specifically said on stage, they're like, we've got couch co-op. Like this is meant to be played with someone on a couch together, which is cool.
And surprising from EA.
Yeah,
to show
I guess
at their show. I mean, they may publish a little game here or there, but for them to highlight something like that is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't... If it's forced, I'm not cool with that. I don't really understand the reason to make it forced. But...
Well, if it's essential to the design of the game and the story, then
they didn't show that it was essential, and I'll come back to that because there is a game. There is a game that might be forced couch co-op at E3 this year, and it sells the concept. This one didn't sell the concept of making it. Are you sure it's forced offline co-op?
No, it's forced co-op offline or online.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, and it does look like it might be essential because like it looks like you're having to coordinate with your... I think the other one might have been essentially two-player too. I don't know if you could play that one with one person. I don't remember. I never played it. But that one...
Use the two analog sticks for that, I think. Like you control the brothers separately.
Or you could play a co-op. I know you could play a co-op.
Oh, okay.
Well, now I'm doubting myself. we come to this podcast prepared. No, I don't know. But people liked. All I know is people liked the old one, and I don't know, the concept of like a co-op narrative focused thing is kind of neat. It could be cool. I'm not necessarily gonna play it, but I'm glad someone's doing it. And they teased BioWare's Destiny game, Anthem, which
Yeah.
it was kind of weird. They're like, yeah, come back and see it at I guess it was Ubisoft they showed it. No, it wasn't Ubisoft. Why would it be Ubisoft? It was Microsoft?
Yeah.
It was Microsoft. Yeah. That was Microsoft's big finishing thing.
Which why it's not theirs.
Yeah, I don't know. But well, we'll get to that too. The exclusivity of Microsoft's lineup.
Anthem
and that's
itself,
all there is to say about EA, except for the fact that they included their influencers in it.
Oh,
their
gotta love the
content
influencers.
creators.
They're just taking the influence and digitally manipulating you. That's
they
what an
influenced-
influencer is good at.
They influenced my face into a cringe motion.
That's how I'm influenced. But Anthem itself, does anything sound less appealing to you than a Destiny game designed by BioWare?
It sounds unappealing. We'll get back to it. When it was teased, and when I started looking at like what people thought it was, I was like, I don't really understand why anyone would be excited for this. We'll get back to it when they actually showed gameplay, and I use that word as lightly as possible. But we'll get back to that at Microsoft. I don't think there's anything else to say about EA. They showed Battlefront for fucking 30 minutes. They had everyone there in the building playing it, and you just watched them play it. And that's not a fun game to watch, in my opinion.
I'm looking at this this recap. These are the big bullet points from EA this year. A Way Out, Anthem, sort of. Need for Speed Payback.
Oh, yeah.
FIFA 2018, Battlefield 1 DLC, and Madden NFL 18. That's it. That's their thing.
Need for Speed. I heard people saying positive things about Need for Speed. It looks like another one of those games. They turned Need for Speed into Burnout, where you can crash people. And they've kept the 2007 era of vehicle destructibility, which is almost none. And I've heard that that's like a licensing thing. Like, oh, you can crash a BMW, and BMW says, well, you can make the bumper bent and coming off, and you can make the hood a little bit crumpled, but you can't destroy a BMW in your game. We won't approve of it. And so they just kind of bounce around like 2006 vehicles. That's kind of weird. Like, why?
If you make it ridiculous, that's fine. But
I'm a car guy, and I don't give a shit about what cars are in my Need for Speed arcade racing game. Like, just make them fake. Just make them fake and make them resemble real cars like GTA does, and that'll be fine. Whatever. I guess they've probably figured out that the market likes, oh, it's got Porsches in it, I gotta get it. But whatever.
Porsche 911.
RS2.
That was like the...
We'll get to Microsoft.
Skipping ahead to Microsoft again, but that is so funny.
We got Bethesda.
Every year they have a car!
This is the first time they've announced a car on
They
stage.
lift the car up out of the mist, and they say, look at this new car.
Like it's spun around like a secret, like Nazi communications
That was
room.
this year. Last time or two, it was like a
Well,
platform
they
rose out of the
one
depths
from
of
the
hell.
ceiling.
That's what I'm thinking
The
of.
Ford
It came-
GT40 lowered from the
descended
ceiling.
from heaven. I was thinking of a kind of
And they never
switcheroo.
have someone in the car. I'm waiting for someone to step out of the car. I want Phil Spencer
That'd be tight.
to be in
That'd
the
be-
car.
Ooh,
and
with
just
a motorcycle
step out.
helmet in the car. He takes it off and
It'd
reveals.
be fantastic. That they should do that. But anyway, we'll get to Microsoft again. That's EA. I hope you like Battlefront. Whatever. You can play as a walk in Battlefield 1. If you
A
want
what?
to do that. A walk?
A what?
A woman of color? Bethesda was that night. Or maybe Bethesda might have been the night after. Someone's telling me that Microsoft was before Bethesda. Whatever, we're
you.
talking about Microsoft, so let's just
Keep
fucking
it
talk
to
about
yourself.
Microsoft. Let's talk about Microsoft.
Yeah, let's. Did you know? Big reveal, hot tip, coming out of
22
E3,
exclusives.
fresh off the presses. The new Xbox will have even better graphics than before.
It'll have a vapor chamber, and it'll have a lot of memory bandwidth. The crowd was fucking going wild for the amount of memory bandwidth that the Xbox One X, also known as the
6
Xbox.
teraflops. The 6
Anyway,
it's still
the crowd.
maybe somebody who's more technically versed in this stuff and the Scorpio specs could correct me, but isn't it still just like a mid-range PC?
I would say, from the sounds of it, mid to high range, maybe. Well, mid to high range, it's probably mid-range now. Like
That's
right
what I mean,
now,
right?
Probably
Like
mid-range.
it's a big step up, obviously, over like the
Yeah.
original PS4. And I say big, it's not like dramatic, but it's
It's
still
hard to gauge
been
that stuff.
4 years since Xbox
Because-
One and PS4 came out. Like
Yeah.
it seems like a
PCs
on pace upgrade, not
The
like
thing
a,
is that like the PC technology is kind of outpacing video game development a little bit right now. I think
yeah.
like so a high range PC isn't really needed necessarily, except for VR, and Xbox isn't doing VR. So I would say a non VR PC, it's probably mid to high range. You know what I mean? But they're doing 4K, which that requires some power, and if they're actually going to pull it off, they'll need some power. And it has 8-core processor and like I guess 16 gigs of RAM and stuff. So it's that's what I've got in mind. So it seems like it's a pretty powerful console, and it's $500, which for that much power, I would say $500 is a reasonable price. But they filled the difference between the Microsoft and the EA conference, the stark difference. Now I'm remembering that Microsoft was right after EA because this is what I noticed first. EA fills their crowd with influencers and journalists. Microsoft fills their crowd with fans, Xbox fans. And they start naming off the specs. They're like 1.172 gigahertz GPU. And the fans are like, woo! Yeah! And it's
numbers.
I'm sorry, 12 gigabytes of memory, not 16.
That's a weird
That is kind of a weird
denomination of memory.
I mean, I guess why not? But yeah, whatever. 6 teraflop GPU. I don't know what that means.
It's a lot of
That's what
flops.
they've got. It's flops. I know that the new Mac that came out that was $5,000 had a lot more teraflops than that.
You gotta,
If you want to pay $5,000 for a Mac.
so teraflop for teraflop. I think this one's floppier.
So they went out and they talked about that for a while, which everyone knew they would. It's kind of weird that they have the Xbox One S and now the Xbox One X, and it's like, what is the point of the S right now? I don't know what space. Who's the market? Who's like, well, I want a more powerful Xbox One, but not too much more power. Like, I don't know what the purpose of the S is right now.
The S is more powerful than the original.
I'm pretty
Like,
sure.
what does
I
it
think it's
do,
more marginal. This is part of their problem. Maybe the S is just their new Xbox One, and they don't sell the original anymore.
Maybe I
don't know.
I don't think anybody's buying the original now, but
They don't make this very clear. It's strange. But they showed Forza Motorsport 7 in 4K on your stream that you're watching at 1080p. So that just looked like Forza Motorsport and not all that impressive, really, because the graphics. It's not like they've upgraded the graphics significantly, because you can't if you're going to do 4K 60 FPS.
That was
so it just
rough.
didn't even look all that impressive, really.
That was rough for Sony. It was either last year or some other PlayStation Experience conference stream that they did, where their big item at that particular show was 4K. It's the PS Pro does 4K. All this stuff you can play in 4K and is amazing. And they showed the 4K games on the stream, and what are you supposed to take from that? Because it's a compressed YouTube stream that's way lower resolution.
And there's no
You
way to
can't
do it,
communicate
right?
that, right?
There's no way to communicate it. Like the most you could do is say like follow this link to see a high resolution image, and then you could zoom
Yeah.
in on your browser. But like,
Or they would have to like zoom in on the finer details of a
they
still
could
from the
do
game.
that, and they didn't.
Yeah,
do
there's
that.
ways to demonstrate it.
But that's rough.
People
and
know
I
what
did
4K
feel
is
bad, because
now.
Microsoft paid a lot of money to get a 4K, like, I don't know, fucking 20 feet by 15 feet or whatever television screen for the audience, and that probably looked pretty fantastic on there. But we wouldn't know, and so we were just watching Forza, like, yeah, that was like another Forza game.
That
I
is a
actually
car.
thought Horizon looks better, but
That is a
whatever.
car.
It's a car, and it has textures that high quality textures have been around for a while.
There are graphics in the game.
They said that the Xbox One X will be able to handle 4K textures, which is a meaningless 4K assets, I think is what they said, which that doesn't mean anything. But yeah, it's the you're witnessing the most powerful console ever, and it's a big deal.
Yeah. They are releasing a new console upgrade by themselves. So yeah, of course, it's going to be the best one ever.
Yeah, whatever console comes out, unless it's Nintendo, it's going to be the most powerful.
Very
one.
true. It's not always hold true, yeah.
But yeah, then they I don't know if this is in order, because I'm just reading this off of a random
cares?
webpage that I found because I'm not good at preparing. They announced Assassin's Creed Origins at Microsoft.
That's a great name.
Oh yeah, really sticks in the head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I would not have been able to tell you that it was Assassin's Creed Origins unless I was reading it off of a webpage.
All the Origins subtitles. How many games or movies do you think have that subtitle?
Origin or Origins? Yeah.
Yeah. There's Arkham Origins, Dragon
It might
Age
as well be
Origins.
Assassin's Creed Revolution.
Yeah.
Or something. Although they
Revelations.
Wait, Assassin's Creed was Revelations. Yeah. But
They could do like Matrix, like Assassin's Creed Revolution.
yeah, they started showing Assassin's Creed, and they were showing gameplay, and I realized halfway through the gameplay that what they had done, there's been a gap since the last major Assassin's Creed was released. And they said they were, kind of reworking it from the ground up. It's going to be a new combat system and all that stuff. And I've realized what they've done with it is they've Ubisofted it. They've made it one of those games.
How do you Ubisoft Assassin's Creed to be more Ubisoft?
Well, Assassin's Creed, that's a good question, because Assassin's Creed is in many ways the origin of the Ubisoft formula, which I define as you climb towers to reveal parts of the map. You collect items or materials rather to craft things. Very light RPG elements of like kit and gear and inventory. Massive in-your-face fucking waypoints to tiny little side objective things that aren't fun, that are just everywhere, all over the fucking map.
Just a dusting of map markers everywhere.
Yeah. Animals to kill to collect those materials that you need, and outposts to capture. Oh, and marking people with little arrows over their head while you're capturing those outposts. Far Cry does it, Wildlands does it, and now Assassin's Creed does all that stuff too. Assassin's Creed even goes as far as having a drone a la Wildlands. But it's
this
an
new
eagle.
one?
It's an eagle. You go, be my eyes, eagle, and your camera perspective switches to an eagle, and it's like a drone view of the outpost that you're about to capture.
Lit.
And you mark people on the outpost, and then you capture it. Assassin's Creed Origins is one of the most pathetic games I've ever seen. Period. It's pathetic. I hate this game. I fucking hate this game. Because first of all, like, I don't really care about Assassin's Creed all that much. I mean, I've enjoyed Assassin's Creed in the past. I would even be open to enjoy Assassin's Creed now, kind of without too much changes to the formula, really. I don't want Assassin's Creed Far Cry. That sounds like a fucking boring ass nightmare to me. It's just It's pathetic. They got that game and they said, how do we make this? And Ubisoft said, well, here's the formula. Follow the formula, and have no personality whatsoever. It just doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything that makes it unique. They even turned it into a third-person shooter, which
great.
So you've got a bow and you can shoot the arrows really fast, and you can aim them, and a developer after the Ubisoft conference was showcasing Assassin's Creed, and he literally said, someone was like, "Oh yeah, these bows, it's like you can rattle these off pretty quick. They're pretty useful." And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's a full-blown shooter in that way. Full-blown third-person shooter is the words he used." And then he called the bow that shoots multiple arrows, because I guess you can just do that. He called that the shotgun bow. That's what Assassin's Creed is now.
Sounds pretty epic.
Yeah, and then the guy was like, "Hey,
can I
you
shoot
can just
zombies
climb
with
up."
the shotgun bow?
There's no zombies yet, but wait for the DLC. But he was also climbing up smooth surfaces, just like grappling up stuff without handholds or anything. And the guy with him was like, "Oh, you can just climb right up that surface. There were no handholds or anything." He's like, "Yeah, you can just climb up anything now."
Breath of the Wild.
And so it's like, just there's just nothing to that game.
Yeah,
and you can
what we're
up,
seeing is the heat death of Ubisoft. You know, that theory that the universe is gonna, over time, all the energy and matter will, it evenly distributes until it's all just a flat line of complete homogeneity. And that's what we're looking at. It's
happening very rapidly with Ubisoft's lineup. Yeah.
Yep, Assassin's Creed. Now we're going to the wilds, and you're gonna hunt and you're gonna craft.
There's animals that you can kill. So the thing that really drove me insane, like I realized during the Xbox conference that, okay, they Far Cried this game, but I didn't realize how much they did. I thought, like, okay, they've added the inventory. There's like a drone style thing. I get it. You can mark people and all that stuff. Not too surprising. Then they move on to the gameplay after that Ubisoft conference, where it's like extended gameplay, and they're capturing an outpost, and there's a cage in the outpost with a fucking lion in it. And you can shoot the cage with your arrow and release the lion and cause havoc, and shoot your arrow at the bonfire and it starts a fire. It's literally Far Cry.
They found the Bethesda formula. They figured it out. Make it the same game.
This is what people like. This is what people like. So keep making it. Except Bethesda literally just keeps making the same game.
And they just literally
keep releasing. Skyrim was at E3 4 times this year.
Yeah. Wow.
4 separate showings of Skyrim at E3 2017. So we're still at Microsoft. Sorry for going off on the Assassin's Creed tangent, but wow, I was really just blown away by how sad that was. There was a Metro. Oh, and by the way, this whole time, so they start off and they say there's 22 exclusives coming to the Xbox. And I was like, wow, 22, that's a lot. Even if it's just full of indie games, like tiny little Xbox arcade games or whatever, that's a lot.
23
and so
timed console exclusives.
Well, yeah, what they would do is there'd be a trailer starting and it would say exclusive premiere or exclusive whatever. And then in the bottom left it would say like Xbox One X console launch exclusive. And I don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means. That's a made-up thing, and I know what it means. It means it's a timed release.
Means it's not exclusive.
It's not an exclusive game, and this was obvious very quickly because they're showing games. It's like that's not going to be, and like at first I was like, well, okay, a lot of their stuff is coming out on Windows 10 Store, which like they're merging that with Xbox, so I can understand like still calling it exclusive then, but like a lot of it is stuff that I think is totally cross-platform. And they're just calling it exclusive because for like a month or two it might be exclusive, and then it'll come out on the other platform.
Some people would say that this is a good thing, that it's not exclusive.
I think it's a good thing.
Well, whether these particular games are exclusive, I don't really care. But I generally think exclusives, like first-party games, are better. They're better made, better produced video games.
Yeah.
Game for game. An exclusive game is better than a multi-platform game. It's just, that's generally what tends to be true. So I don't really get excited about a lack of exclusives. I have no particular need for Xbox to have a bunch of good exclusives, but I don't think that wanting exclusives to go away is necessarily, I don't know, whatever.
I don't care so much about Xbox exclusives anymore because they have merged with the Windows 10 store. So personally, because I don't own an Xbox, I'm fine with them having exclusive shit, because even though the Windows store is awful, if I really want a game, I can get it. The Windows store is awful, by the way. So people really excited that Xbox games are coming out on the PC. Keep in mind, there's that caveat of holy shit, the Windows store is bad.
Getting Halo 5 Forge to work and like the install and the download took
you
ages
can't choose
longer
which
than it
drive
should have.
you want to install it on.
You can, but I don't know how. I was able to do it. I literally could not reproduce it and explain how to do it to my friend.
So
it's weird. It sucks.
It's bad, and hopefully that'll get better. But I would not cross my fingers. So they showed Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
Which I would consider gameplay with very large quotation marks. It was a very, very scripted in-engine cutscene thing. That's kind of exciting. A new Metro game.
The Metro games are very cool.
They're neat.
They're not my favorite. I prefer most
Stalker.
of 2033, and I didn't play Last Light. But what I played at 2033 was still really cool. The atmosphere and the world they made is awesome. I heard the second one you're doing a lot more exploring outside the Metro, which is cool, and especially as the graphics get better. Graphics are a major draw for this series. They've always been like on top of it, and this looks like no exception.
No different. Yeah. And it looks like it'll be focusing on outside a lot, or at least that's the impression I got, because you open up into this large open area and it's like, ooh, look, it's a big open area. But it wasn't actual gameplay. It was kind of whatever. We'll see more of it eventually, I guess. Not much to say about it. Also, it might look that good. It probably won't look that good on an Xbox, but it'll look that good on a PC potentially. There was a lot of what I would consider almost definitely fibbing in this E3 as far as graphics go. But we'll get to that. State of Decay 2, I thought looked lame as shit.
The first one was just
You remember State of Decay?
awful.
Yeah, I don't think it was awful. I think some people liked it.
I was playing the severely glitched version.
I think all the versions were severely glitched.
Mine was nearly unplayable. So I wouldn't even really say I played it, but I slogged through like 2 hours of barely functioning. Like a guy's head was just extending all the way out into forever and like flipping all around through the level, covering everything. It was not a stable experience.
Yeah, my eyes when I saw zombies and I saw the way this game looked. They didn't announce the name until the end. I didn't realize it was a State of Decay sequel until like they started showing like, oh, build your little outpost or whatever. My eyes glazed over. I see zombies and I tune the fuck out. I cannot believe they're still making zombie games. I was not impressed with that. And Ori and the Will of the Wisp, they're making another Ori game.
Didn't finish the first one, but it was cool.
The trailer was real sad, and it had a guy with a piano playing a piano over it.
There you go.
And
sold.
I wasn't sure if like I wasn't sad because I didn't know what was going on in the trailer. I guess maybe if you played the game, you know what's going on in the trailer, but I wasn't real sad just watching an owl, just like whatever. Who cares? I've heard okay things about that game. I've heard it's like super hard. Is it like Super Meat Boy, like platforming, like really tough?
No.
Am I thinking of another game then?
I think it must be, because maybe it ramps up dramatically as you go on, but no, I wouldn't even call it difficult.
Does it have like checkpoints, like very rapid checkpoints where like you can redo stuff really quick?
The checkpoint system's kind of interesting. You spend like a limited kind of soul currency to place your own checkpoints in the world.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, the game
I
itself
could really,
is really cool.
fuck you over probably with that if the game
No,
isn't
it's not.
designed
It's
very
not like
carefully.
it's not like you've got. It's not like the typewriter from the challenge modes in Resident Evil 1 remake. It's more like you kind of refill the meter and you. It's not as stressful as it sounds. It's definitely more like choose your own difficulty, plot out how you're gonna tackle difficult sections, but it's not like oppressive.
Do you want more Life is Strange? Couldn't get enough.
Well, I ended my playthrough by intentionally killing everyone in the town.
Wow, you can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of
we
the
don't-
endings, I guess.
Yeah, we don't care about Life is Strange spoilers. I'm just making that decision for everyone
No,
watching right now.
Yeah,
um,
that's
You end Life is Strange. All this shit that happens and all your choices that will matter and the relationships you build. Your choices are kill the blue hair girl, save the town, or kill everyone in the town, literally everyone, and save the blue hair girl.
it's a hard choice. So
No, it
this is a
wasn't.
prequel,
No, it wasn't.
and I didn't realize it was a prequel. But I guess if you played enough Life is Strange, you would realize because it's the blue-haired girl's story.
Fuck.
But she
why?
looks. The art style is simple enough that she looks exactly like the other character to me. So I thought it was just a sequel featuring the other character, the main character from the other game. But whatever.
Does she get time
doesn't have blue
powers
hair.
too?
I wonder. I wonder if they'll just be like, "Fuck it, she has time powers too." Like, because that was a very major part of that game. And if you're gonna
Yeah,
make another one of those,
it's like the
and not
premise.
have it, maybe.
I don't know.
The
who
whole
knows?
time during Life is Strange, your friend also had the power. Be an interesting twist.
They suck, so I wouldn't put it past them. That game is one of the most funny. It's really funny. Just if you haven't played it, just go ahead, play the first 2 episodes, and stop there.
Some people love it.
That's where I know they're retarded. It goes from being funny bad to just boring and
Just bad.
yeah. So play the first 2 episodes. They're a riot.
Do you want to play Minecraft in 4K on your Xbox?
No.
Well, you can for free.
Okay.
Not Minecraft isn't free, but if you have Minecraft, you can play it in 4K for free.
Oh,
They made sure to clarify that the 4K update was free.
can I play?
You don't
with
have
the
to pay
controller
to
for
play at
free?
a different resolution. I think the controller support also comes free.
Like the audio every.
Yeah, you don't
All
have to pay
that
for
free.
any of it. It's just one payment and you're good to go. It's pretty awesome. They're also doing a graphical update that adds like shadows and lighting and stuff. And it actually, I mean, it's still Minecraft and it looks like shit because it's Minecraft, but it's like, oh wow, that's a much better
that
looking
only on the
Minecraft than I'm
Xbox
used
version?
to seeing. No, I think that's across platforms.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure that's just an update they're doing in general. That'd be a hell of a thing if they only did that on Xbox. It wouldn't be an E3 without a trailer for Cuphead.
We've had lots of trailers for Cuphead. Now it has
That
a date,
game-
so
It has a date this year. I think September. That game is fucking cool.
Yeah.
I love how accurately they capture the style of like an old.
it's
cartoon.
really
Like,
impressive.
It is awesome. I wish that game came out a lot quicker because I see the trailer again and I'm like, oh yeah, that game. When I first saw the first Cuphead trailer, I was like, oh shit, this looks fucking awesome. Now I'm a little bit less excited, but I'm still crazy impressed with what they've done with that. It
Yeah,
looks
and
fucking
I'm really
cool.
glad that they spent all the time that they needed to do it because getting that
Yeah,
style perfect is the entire point. So
Yeah.
good on them.
I mean,
for
who knows? Maybe it
not
was
pushing it out too
delayed
early.
because of other things, but I have no idea what the story of that development is.
I'm gonna go with the
Crackdown-
Sony story.
Yeah, sure. Crackdown 3. They're still making it. They're calling it Crackdown 3 instead of Crackdown all caps. I'm actually excited for this. It looks like more Crackdown that I like.
Is that going to be on Windows?
It's a first-party Microsoft game. All first-party Microsoft games will be on Windows. Period.
Okay, all right.
That's their policy, as far as I know.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's what they started doing last E3, and I think that is now for every game they make their policy. So yeah, whatever. It's Crackdown 3. I saw a lot of people being negative about it because like visually it doesn't look that great, and then like when they originally announced it, I guess 2 years ago, they were talking all about this like cloud physics system. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Remember this?
And there were people insisting that it was like not BS.
I will give them credit. It wasn't BS because they went to extraordinary lengths, including showing gameplay which showed exactly how much processing power they were using from each server they were connected to. Like they were like, no, look, it's real, and it was real, but it was basically a tech demo. And I still would be extremely skeptical of it working in person. And then I also want to know, like, what if someone has a bad connection? Like, what happens to the physics? Like, but they didn't mention any of that. They didn't show any of that. I assume they completely scrapped it, which I am totally not surprised.
Just make a good game.
Yeah, I don't blame them either. I think they were initially going to make a tech demo, and then they realized this won't work if everyone has different connection speeds and it's all laggy and crazy. Like they must have realized at some point, like this is just absolutely not going to work. And they're still making it, which I thought they were just going to cancel it once they realized that. I knew Crackdown wasn't going to come out with cloud physics. I knew it. I think I probably said it in this podcast. I said, there's no way this game is coming out with cloud physics. I thought they were just going to cancel it outright. I was excited to see it again, and it had Terry Crews yelling at you. I guess he's like your commander or something in the game, which whatever. They're making another fucking Middle-earth Shadow of blank game.
Okay, there's no... They already showed this. This is not new. They showed a trailer.
It's not new. And it's the same. I mean, it's a sequel, but it looks very much the same. I could not be less excited for this game. I think I've talked at length about my problems with it. I played about 10 hours of the first one and kind of fell off of it. I had fun until I didn't, and then I just totally didn't have fun.
It's a very shaky difficulty curve. I don't hope it bombs. I
kind of do. I don't like it. I don't like it being set in the Lord of the Rings universe specifically.
Really?
I think that ruins it for me. I think that's part of what made me not play more of the first one. Is like I didn't like
mind
Lord
that.
of the Rings.
I didn't like the Gollum stuff. That seemed too like distracting to me.
It didn't seem like Gollum.
But the stuff that wasn't like Lord of the Rings, I thought was good. I liked that they were orcs. They weren't just knockoff orcs. They were actual orcs.
But listen to what you're saying. The stuff that wasn't Lord of the Rings is what you liked about it. So like, why is it even Lord of the Rings?
I liked the Middle Earth stuff, but I didn't necessarily like the stuff that was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I just wish it was its own world. Because like I constantly think of like, oh god, that's not right. Like that's not how I look at Middle Earth. That's not how I look at that world operating.
You may care a lot more about Middle Earth and
I took a whole class on Tolkien and stuff. Like,
okay.
yeah, I'm a little bit outside of the usual demographic probably, but
I saw the movies and read one of the books. I don't really care.
And it does seem like they're entirely. It's kind of a weird thing where they're basing all of the visual. They're basing everything on how the movies looked and felt and sounded, except for the plot, which is based entirely on like the Silmarillion, which is weird. And I don't know. It's weird. I am a strong believer in like if you want to tell your own story and you want to break off from what the original thing is that you're doing it for, like I wish you could just make your own thing instead of like piggybacking on something that isn't yours. Like I'm not talking about like ethically or anything. I'm talking about like
creatively.
To me,
I get it.
I've talked about this where like I played Knights of the Old Republic, which everyone loves, and I didn't like it because I didn't care about the Star Wars universe. I like Star Wars. I didn't want to learn any more about it, and it felt like fan fiction. And then I played Mass Effect, same developer, same concepts. I liked my Mass Effect, and I wanted to play more Mass Effect because I was interested in that world and I wanted to learn more about it. So maybe that's just a personal hang up, but like I just feel like just make your own shit. Make your own shit. It's expensive to license shit. Don't license it. Make your own shit.
I did not mind the Lord of the Rings branding on the first one. I probably wouldn't have played it otherwise.
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, I heard there's an actually good Lord of the Rings game that piqued my interest. So
Yeah, and there hasn't been. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of those.
but I don't think it's like one of those games where why couldn't it be its own thing? I think it's different enough from like the rest of the Lord of the Rings stuff. It's a story that's separate from most of the Lord of the Rings stuff. It's more appropriate to a game. Like it's this
Definitely.
campaign through a like a battle. What's a battlefield, or what would be the word for that? Like an entire land of war, and you're raising an army in it, and it fits a video game pretty well. I don't know, I don't mind it, but then again, I'm way less invested, admittedly, in Middle Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the concept of actually what they're doing with the sequel, with building up your own army and everything. Like, it seems like they're doing a cool, because like that idea of having these nemesis, and they're recurring characters kind of, and you can bring them to your side. Like, that's cool.
My biggest problem with the first
I
one
just
was the
don't wanna play the
gameplay.
game.
Like, the gameplay really falls apart by the end. 'Cause it
Batman
gets way too
Combat. I hear a lot of people talk positively about Batman Combat, which is what it is. Parrying, basically, like waiting for the icon above the head. It's satisfying at first, but like it's really shallow. Like, it does not have a lot of depth, and you unlock abilities and stuff that kind of make things different and whatnot. But like,
every ability you
it gets old real
unlock,
quick.
it trivializes the game just a little bit
Yeah.
more until the entire thing is just like nothing.
Once you get the rhythm of it, like it's not in any way challenging, and so you're surrounded by 100 people. This is another thing that I didn't like about Assassin's Creed. I don't know if I want to go on another Assassin's Creed tangent, but to me, the perfect Assassin's Creed game would be like, you want to avoid detection, or if you get detected, like a single guard is a challenge. Maybe you can take on 2 or 3 guards, but if there's a swarm of guards, you have to just run.
Yeah.
But Assassin's Creed has always been like, no, they'll just stand around you in a circle like a movie where like one person at a time comes at you and you can parry him, and it's just like, it removes the tension of stealth, and I think running away from guards would be a fun thing to do in an Assassin's Creed game. And Middle-earth kind of had a similar thing where it's like, yeah, you can be stealthy, because I think Middle-earth took a lot from Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft games in general. But you can be kind of stealthy and work your way around the outpost and all that stuff. Or you can just run into the middle and start a fight and kill everyone without much trouble. And that's... I want
that
more
was the
challenge
biggest
than
problem. It was just very poorly balanced.
Yeah.
So that stuff's fixable, though. If they make an effort to address it, then that can.
I don't think other people cared about that at all. I think people were fine with the combat. I think we're unique in that sense, at least relatively. Like,
special.
From what I gathered from the internet about the first game, people were super positive about everything about it, basically. And so the second game is more of that with other features, and people are probably going to eat it up. So whatever, good for them. They showed Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I conceptually, I actually like this idea a lot. I'm
in the same
even
boat
kind of
as
like
you.
the style and everything.
Especially
I don't
in
think
the
they'll pull it off.
conceptually bit.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think it's. I don't know. What was that airship game where you're on a blimp or some kind of warship
I
and you're
couldn't
working
tell you,
together
but I
with
know
a team?
exactly
You know,
what you're talking about.
all the YouTubers were playing it, years ago, and that was the thing. I don't find that to be something that's very sustainable, because that's like, we're gonna have. It's almost like those little multiplayer games that the people. A Bad Feeling used to make a whole bunch of videos like that, where it's like some little multiplayer game, goofy, you just kind of pop in, you play it.
Gmod,
and,
like... Whoa, I just heard myself really clearly.
Yeah.
Did you fuck something up?
No, it's not me. It's this. Look at this piece of shit. Let me show you this piece of shit. You see this? This box here. You see that? With this is a piece of shit. I have to unplug and replug this thing every 5 minutes now. I gotta get a new one. It's not good. It's not looking good. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The simple, goofy multiplayer games. You don't play those again months and months later. It's like a night of honestly like 10 out of 10 fun, which it probably
Yeah.
will be. But whoops, my little.
And maybe that's all it needs to be, really. But
It's
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of effort though for a kind of disposable. I'm talking shit right now. I haven't played it. I'm saying it's disposable before
Speculation.
even. But you know what I mean. It kind of looks like one of those games, and those games don't last that long generally. Like those intensely cooperative. We're gonna all do this thing together. I wouldn't want to play a game like that with randoms. That would turn me
No, and
off
I don't
so
think it's
much.
built
It
to
wouldn't
do that.
work.
Yeah, I don't think it's made to be that kind of game. But I think there's ways to make this work. I think I want something out of it that it's probably not going to deliver, which is like, I would love a game that has some stakes. Like if it's kind of a persistent thing where like you're building up your wealth and you've got your ships, like a fleet maybe, where it's like the ships are actually disposable or something like that. And like in multiplayer, people can come and fuck you up. That would be pretty cool. It would be hard to pull off. And I don't think they're going to try to do anything like that. I think in a lot of ways they're appealing to children, so they're trying to keep it really simple. So I don't know. I like the idea of pirate games. I want more pirate games. I hope it works. Even if it's just, you know, a couple of nights of fun with your friends, maybe that's enough that people will explore that concept some more. I hope it doesn't just like totally bomb and nobody wants to try it again. There's another pirate game at the conference. That was a Ubisoft game, but it's more of a single person controlling ships battling each other. We'll get to that. But I want it to work. I just don't think it will. I liked the way they presented it with like gameplay with a commentator basically telling you what's going on, and it's actual multiplayer gameplay, and you just have a live update of like, okay, here's what's going on, and it's not faked fucking voiceover people acting like they're in comms with each other, but they're just actors. I hate that shit. And they really could have easily gone that direction. Or here's a bunch of influencers are playing our game, which is what they did last year. I'm glad they chose to do a very conservative, good showing of it. What else we got? Oh, Anthem.
Yeah.
The big show closer.
So, you didn't play Destiny, did you? Did you play a lot of Destiny?
No.
Or?
None. I played 30 minutes of it.
You played Borderlands?
Yeah, I know the concept.
Yeah, it's
more of that.
I don't want to do that. I hate it. Experiences like that are so empty. I don't want to run around a big place fetching shit. That's like the least appealing type of game to me. I don't play racing games either, but I'd still take one of those over one of these like romp around a big empty space doing pointless shit endlessly.
I mean, I think
everything about Destiny, I fucking hate it. I
think yeah, I guess I kind of agree with you. Like, I played a lot of Borderlands 2 just because I had some friends playing it, and I never really liked it very much.
It's one thing to play with friends, and I'll say that I never really played Destiny with friends on PS4 because most of the people
but I
know
don't
play on
think
PC.
I don't even think it's one of those games
Right.
where you can say well, playing it with friends makes it good. Like, if you don't like the concept, you don't like the concept, and there's not enough. Like, maybe in the raids in Destiny, there's enough challenge where you have to work with your friends and it's an actual thing. But like,
there was
it
real
seems-
magic to it at first. I liked it at first even because going to the new places and seeing what honestly are like the best skyboxes ever made, really really cool environments and just well put together artistically. That is all cool to see for the first time, and to what's gonna happen now. Oh, there's this dark fungal shit growing out of the walls, and it's connected to some darkness at the center of the universe that's very mysterious. And that was all while I thought that there was some substance behind any of it, that there was a reason for any of the stuff to be there. It really is just a bunch of proper nouns, and I hate it. I hate Destiny, and I don't want to play another game like Destiny. And BioWare, good luck.
They're even aping the look and style of Destiny. Like yeah. I think they've done a much better job at selling me on their world of, like, it looks big and it looks interesting and it looks maybe fun to traverse with the jetpacks and all that stuff. Although sometimes I kind of have mixed feelings about just letting you straight up fly in open world games, because it's like fast travel. It's like you're just kind of trivializing your entire world when you can easily get from one place to another. But the concept, I just don't think I want to play a shooter co-op with friends. Maybe it's just that.
It's antithetical to everything BioWare was good at.
That's another thing, is like, I don't know why BioWare is making this game, and I don't trust them at all with it.
Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, was their first, like, foray into making a open world kind of more gameplay oriented thing where you're going. Yeah, I
thought it was structured like other BioWare games.
No, it's like a fake open world, almost like Witcher 2-ish or Witcher 3-ish.
Like just bigger areas. Yeah,
big areas, like generic fetch objectives that you revisit places and you drive around in your vehicle, and it's like a generic open world game gameplay wise, and it's almost like that was practice. They're doubling down. That was like the BioWare, what was it, Montreal team?
Yeah,
there's
totally
two different
team.
BioWare teams.
Yeah,
the same one that's making this is the same one responsible for Dragon Age Inquisition, which was a bland piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so,
but also an entirely different genre and single player.
Yeah.
I'm always wary of developers that have no multiplayer experience just suddenly entering the multiplayer arena. Like, multiplayer is a different thing, and when your whole gimmick as a development studio is we make single player narrative experiences, to then say we're making a co-op FPS game, or I guess it's a third-person shooter. Like, I don't know, man. Why?
Now they did get a Mass Effect 1 writer, Mass Effect 1 and 2 writer on board. So who knows? Maybe the story will be interesting.
It better be really interesting
if they manage to pull off the shared world multiplayer with a good story that had some kind of thrust or arc to it.
Yeah, that
would be very, very cool. But I think by design, a shared world multiplayer game can't have, like, impactful turns in the world and the story, or dramatic changes to the structure of things, because everybody's sharing the world and everyone's playing with each other. So there's always got to be this baseline, this stability that can't be interrupted. Like, some of the best parts of Mass Effect, if you remember, when, like, the ship in the third one, or was it the second, I don't remember, but you know what I'm talking about, where your ship gets, like, invaded, and then you're Joker and you're, like, limping around.
Sure.
Yeah, like, moments like that, when something gets turned on its head, you can really only accomplish that in a game, well, in a single-player game. You can't have, in Destiny 1, you can't have the Citadel place, the city, you can't have it get attacked and overrun.
I mean,
because
it's
got to be there.
You can, and it can be interesting, but it's a whole different
thing.
How
would you implement it?
World of Warcraft had their Cataclysm update, which took all of your favorite areas and just totally fucked with them.
Yeah, all at once for every player.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. You're sharing a world. You're sharing a narrative experience. It's a much different kind of thing.
I guess you can do it, but that's not how Destiny did it. And who knows? Maybe BioWare will have these updates that change things. Yeah. But that's, even if they are updates, it still precludes any possibility of a satisfying, well-written arc that it has substantial change to what you're doing. There may be a story that you move through, but at the end of the day, you're going to come back to whatever hub, and it's all going to be the same. It's going to be the same as when you started, and that turns me off so much.
Yeah, I just don't trust them, and I also don't trust. Well, first of all, this could be a marketing problem, and not it might not be representative of the game, which would be an issue with the people who chose to make this gameplay trailer thing. It was very obviously it was not a narrative focused showing of the game. They have not really shown what the story is. There's something about a big wall, and then the story they showed in the Microsoft conference was a fetch quest or a side quest seeming thing, where it's just like, oh, I need your help. Go do this thing for me, and then you go do the thing. And like, that's an interesting thing to show from your development studio that focuses on narrative experiences. I think that's telling. I think to me that says like, this might not, they might not be focusing on the narrative aspect of this game.
Yeah.
So,
and not just the dramatic change. You don't need a game that has the environment dramatically change. You can still pull off a story without that kind of stuff specifically. But what you can't do is what BioWare has always been strong at, which is giving you a likable cast of companions that you meet and you go through their stories, and they're with you, and it all comes together at the end. And if you're in a multiplayer shared world, there is no room for a party. There is no room for conversation systems, or not really. But BioWare, ever since Mass Effect 3, they've just been deteriorating, and this is the destination. We've arrived.
Yeah.
So there they are. BioWare, a E3 division, or no, not E3. What are the subtitle? They specifically put a subtitle under
an EA.
Yes,
an
EA
development team or something like
exactly. And yeah, accurate branding.
How do you feel about the graphics of this thing, of how it looked? Can you imagine an Xbox running a game that looks like that, regardless of how many teraflops it has?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was so skeptical. I was looking at that thing like I got, to me, that is the same as the first showing of The Division. If you remember it, the first time The Division was shown at E3, it looks totally different from how it ended up, and I just can't imagine the game looks anything like it. I think that they faked the shit out of that gameplay. I mean, it obviously wasn't really gameplay of the game. Like, everything was so choreographed. It was like, oh, hang on, let's get our other friends in here, and they instantly come in, and they're like, oh, hey guys, and it's just like, it's The Division. The Division did the exact same shit.
Yep.
It really felt exactly like that to me, and I will be very interested to see what that game looks like.
I think it'll be definitely great.
I think they said it was coming out in 2018. It's definitely not going to come out in 2018. I'm calling it. It's going to be a 2019 release. I'm very interested to see what that game looks like in 2 years, because I don't think it's going to look anything like this.
It will be downgraded, but this does not look all that much better, or even better, than Uncharted 4. Like, consoles can do this stuff now.
Okay, yeah.
They can cut corners and make visuals like this happen. So,
but Uncharted
this is not impossible. I just don't think
Uncharted 4. You start looking at some details on Uncharted 4, and you can see like, okay, yeah, they cut some corners on these resolutions and everything. They just do it in a very
strategic
good way, where you don't notice that stuff easily, and it makes the overall game look fantastic. I was looking at the details during this thing because I just didn't believe it for a second, and like the lighting system and the textures and everything was ultra high quality. It just looked faked to me. It just looked totally fake. I'm not saying they like CGI'd the shit. I'm just saying that's not running on any Xbox hardware, and that's not running on any reasonable PC hardware. There's something. I don't think that game's going to look like that, but we'll see. It's one of those things that we'll be able to prove unless it gets completely canceled, which I don't think so.
Unlikely.
We are only at Microsoft, and we have been we've been going for about an hour.
Yes.
Bethesda.
Nintendo? Oh, Bethesda. Almost forgot Bethesda.
Very late that night, Bethesda. I don't know why they chose to do it at 9 p.m. Pacific time, which was for you midnight.
Yes.
Pretty crazy.
I watched the whole thing.
I did too.
I liked to see Dishonored 2 DLC because that was my favorite game last year. I think it was the best game last year, and the DLC for the first Dishonored was head and shoulders above the content in the main game. And if they do something like that again, it'll be fantastic. So really looking forward to that, even though they really didn't show anything. They just kind of showed a CG teaser for it.
Yeah,
so.
I did like the teaser. That I liked that fucking teaser set a goal. Like I said, like here's what it's going to be about. Here's your mission, and I love when something has like such a simple premise like that. It's just like you're finding the dude, and I don't know much about Dishonored story, but I know that the dude is the dude, and you're finding them, and it's like, okay, cool. It gives you that hook. So I appreciated that. Yeah, I think that's. I assume you are much like me. That and Wolfenstein are the only things you remotely cared about during this entire conference.
Fallout 4 VR, I actually did.
Really?
Yeah. So for one,
how would you feel if I told you that Fallout 4 VR is going to be a separate game for $60?
I wouldn't care because I didn't buy it to begin with.
Okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like the story of what I saw, and I've since like found out everything that happens in the game and all that. It's not good, and it's repetitive and not a very well written or designed RPG.
It's not a very good game.
I heard though, and I believe that exploring the not the capital wasteland, the whatever Commonwealth, yeah, that it's fun to explore. It's fun to look around and go to new places and explore them.
I mean, that's what's fun about those games. Yeah. I think that they could be a lot more rewarding in that aspect, but
that's something they do very well. But with Fallout 4 specifically, I heard that's what they succeeded at and failed at nearly everything else. So
I guess
if that's the hook, if that's what Fallout 4 does well, then that might be really cool to play in VR, especially not having played it before.
If they pull it off to actually be well made in VR, which that's a whole thing with Bethesda that we'll see. But if they pull that off, I could see that being a cool thing. Like
a full-length AAA substantial game in VR.
Make up for the deficiencies of Fallout with the gimmick. It is a gimmick of being in VR and like being able to like that would make the gameplay a lot more fun to be able to like aim in VR.
Easily.
I wonder how they would handle the VAT system. Anyway,
maybe it'll be like bullet time.
I wonder, or if they'll just discard it completely. I don't know, but I agree with you that like it's cool. The idea is cool. I just hate Fallout 4. I don't think it's a very good game at all. And then they announced it for Skyrim too. I don't know if it's PSVR.
That exclusive. Was so funny. I know it's in the Sony conference. We're talking about it right now. It looked like somebody with Parkinson's was playing. Because you're using for PSVR anything. I
noticed
that's
that last year with their showings. Yeah,
right. Anything that is like motion tracking of your hands, it's all done with the PlayStation Move controllers, and the PlayStation Move controllers were designed for the PS3, and they have not changed. So, like Until Dawn VR, when you're going down in a cart and shooting stuff like a shooting gallery, and this where. Like, the guy's holding up his shield and his sword, and they're, like, trembling. It's really, really noticeable, and that's in the trailer that they chose to show us.
Yeah.
I think Skyrim VR is timed exclusive PS4, I think.
I have no idea. They just said it was a PSVR game.
Okay, that could mean anything.
It could.
If that's how the entire game has to be played, if you're doing it on PSVR, then... Yeah, geez, just play real VR.
I have not, caveat, I have not tried PSVR personally. I've heard some accounts, and it seems like a significantly worse. It seems like a bad experience, basically. Like you get in, the frame rate's not very good. It's obviously shaky. The headset is not. They don't use the same tech that Oculus and Vive use for headset tracking and stuff. Like it's much more primitive. It's tracking lights with a webcam. It's not good, and that's really important in VR to get that stuff right. I mean, you've experienced Vive now. You know what it's like,
and
where you're holding those you're holding those controllers. Yeah, maybe we might do another podcast for that. But you're holding those fucking controllers, and it's like they're really there. Like they're basically 1-to-1. They might as well be. It's the frame rate is high enough. The capture rate is high enough.
Not that I'd want to break my controllers, but if I took the wrist strap off and I tossed the controller up in the air, I could catch it.
Yeah. It's very good, and I agree with you. I remember last year they showed that shooter game that came out, and it was like you said, shaky and like, and it's like they're showing this in a trailer, and like you could at least, like, the trailer didn't even look like it was full gameplay. Like I don't think it had a HUD or anything, but it still showed that jerkiness, and I was like, what? Like, at least just fucking fib it. Like it's so noticeable. It's really bad looking to me, but I feel bad that's a lot of people's first experience, maybe only experience with VR of like, well, this
I think it's
sucks.
got the biggest install base.
Yeah,
sure,
it's a lot of people have it, and a lot of people are trying it, and it's like, well, listen, maybe also give Oculus and Vive a try because it's way different, and then they're coming out with all these games that are using the Move controller, but like, how many people are buying the PSVR and the Move controllers, that 2 Move controllers and the PlayStation Eye or whatever? Like, that's a big buy-in. It's almost as much as it's probably as much as Oculus. To buy all that shit?
At least you don't need a PC that can run it.
Yeah,
that's the big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, the Oculus doesn't come with controllers. The Vive does. And the Vive, it definitely doesn't reach the price level of the Vive.
I'm more inclined to view the dawn of shitty VR as a positive thing, because the more people who are playing it, the more people are going to get interested in it, and it'll be a real thing.
It's still
that
probably
people wanna make
impressive.
games for, and plus, if you get a huge PSVR install base, then you got people making dedicated VR games that aren't going to be exclusive to PSVR.
I was impressed with their lineup. I was like, okay, they're making games for this. They're still releasing games for these.
For a while, have had like an extremely strong software lineup compared to the Vive and Oculus.
So good for Sony. Their technology for that stuff is probably for a lot of people gives VR a worse name than it deserves, like a worse experience for people than the competitors.
It runs the risk. A subpar VR experience runs the risk of somebody trying and be like, it's pretty cool. But if it's done
VR's not for
right,
me.
if it's done right, then it's like, wow.
Like,
this
if you're getting
is the
sick,
next thing.
If you're getting sick because the PSVR headset tracking sucks, then you're not going to try VR again ever. It's like, no, VR makes me sick.
Yeah.
And that's all. I mean, 3 of my family members have said that about actual Oculus VR.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's good tracking, and I don't get sick with that. And so, like, I just it scares me a little. It's like I don't. On the one hand, yeah, you're right. It's pros and cons. Like, at least there's that low buy-in, and you're getting a lot of people to try it, but they're trying a subpar experience, and that sucks. But yeah, I think that the Bethesda's open world games at least have some amount of appeal to me personally if they're in VR. Like, shooting at monsters with a bow and arrow in Skyrim would be fun in VR no matter what the game's like.
Absolutely.
It would be a better experience than most VR games because it's an actual game, not just a fucking tech demo.
Bethesda, in one way or another, have been on the cutting edge of certain trends. The first trend I can think of that they were #1 frontrunners at was DLC. Remember the horse armor?
Yeah, they were the first.
It was ridiculous, but it was before microtransactions were a thing. They were like the first ones to do that in any like major high profile capacity.
I mean, with Morrowind it was free, but Morrowind you could go on the Bethesda site. I remember doing this, and download. I forgot what they called them at the time, but it was basically mods or extensions to the game. Like, hey, here's a new shopkeeper that sells a bunch of new items and stuff, and it was free because things were free at that time.
Yeah, and there's the cynical way to look at that, where
but other games
they're so supportive of mods because they want them to prop up their games. But that is still exceptional. Companies don't do that. They do not support mods as well as Bethesda does.
That's the one things that like kind of stops me from hating Bethesda is like, well, they're still making games that are totally open to mod support.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing back paid mods, which was a big failure. when they first tried it. They almost instantly
They did
retracted
correct the
it.
problems with it, though. The biggest problems about it are now have been designed out. Where before, you could have somebody put a mod up for free, copy the mod, put it up themselves, charge money for it. Like, that was totally doable, and it happened. On top of that, you got people using existing mods or not very good mods and charging for them, and you don't know if they work or whatever. Now there's approved modders that are
Yeah.
allowed to charge for it. So
Well,
that is at least a safeguard.
I will be very interested to see where this goes, because to me, the problem is the opposite. It's people just copying the paid mods and making them free. If you can still download the free mod, like for the PC specifically, for the consoles, paid mods makes more sense because those aren't moddable games anyway.
Yeah.
And so
Ecosystem's
any amount of
pretty close.
mods, paid or not, is a improvement for the console games, and there's a huge audience for that stuff. So cool. But for the PC, if you're trying to charge people for horse armor, and then someone says, "Well, I've got horse armor and it's free and it's on the Steam Workshop," like that's not going to work at all.
I think that'll be
and so the direction that I would be worried about it going, that I don't think it'll go in anytime soon, but it could go here in the long term, is like, well, now all mods have to go through our official vetting system.
I think the block for that is going to be, well, they'll obviously police for blatant copies of a mod, but even outside of that, even if you upload the same paid mod as a free mod on the Steam Workshop, the paid ones are going to get updated to continue to work with the game, one, as it gets updated, and two, to just to keep updating it so it doesn't break or to fix stuff, and there's no way to subscribe if it's illegitimate. So
I mean, maybe you could just say like, well, yeah, some people are copying the mod basically, or have an equivalent mod that's free, but like at least some people are buying it because people do like to support their mod creators. Like, if I was into Skyrim and there was a mod that I really liked and it was paid, and there was a mod that was very similar to it that was free, I might get the paid one if it was the original, just to support the modder, because I think that modders work really hard for free. They've done it for a long time now, and like they do deserve to be paid for their work.
do.
And so it's cool when they get that option, but it comes with a lot of problematic baggage, I'll be interested to see where it goes. I think for consoles, it's a fantastic idea. Great. Approach modders and say, hey, we're going to release your mod on the console and charge this for it, and we're going to give you 25% or whatever. Great. Cool. That's never been done before. It'll work. Awesome. It's just for PC that it's really weird. People in the chat are talking about Microsoft having a VR headset. They had an AR headset called HoloLens. They showed it, I guess, last year or the year before at E3. It's really
where
cool
did that
looking.
go?
I don't know where it went. I mean, it went into the hole that a lot of other Microsoft things go into. But I hope that they're still kind of messing around with that. But they haven't mentioned it. But it wasn't much of a video game thing, I don't think. I guess you could do some video game stuff with it. Like you could do like a really cool like board game style stuff with it, where you're standing over a table.
There's
was more
applications
limited.
for that for sure, but I don't think many of them are relevant to video games.
No, it's AR, it's augmented reality, it's putting virtual things into the reality, which I think in the grand scheme of things is a much more important technology than VR. Actually, I think that's going to be a huge thing eventually. Like Google Glass, as much as everyone makes fun of Google Glass, like we're going to be there eventually. We're going to get there. Like that's going to be a thing. Augmented reality has to be a thing. I just can't imagine it not being a thing. So I was kind of excited to see what they were doing with HoloLens.
Even something that like shows you. Can you imagine like an augmented reality set of glasses, totally seamless, and you're just driving and there's stuff popping up that's showing you traffic guides or delays. Like
here's the
right
review for
on
this
the
restaurant
road.
you're driving by. Yeah. Here's where you turn.
When the
here's the lane
technology
you should
gets
get into.
there, it'll be really cool. But
Yeah.
what I've seen of like Mega 64's Not Goat series of videos, the classic series of videos, very good videos.
I haven't seen those.
They're goofy. They're just dumb, but they're fine. They're just basically Microsoft asked them to make videos with the HoloLens. They gave them like a prototype HoloLens, and it's very dumb. It's a very dumb technology. It works, but very limited.
Sure. Of course it is, but I think the future is massive for that
Yes.
stuff. I think
I agree.
it will be huge. I just don't know when, and it's not going to be HoloLens. But HoloLens is the first step, and so I really would like to see more of that. I mean, it was impressive watching the E3 conference where they brought out Minecraft, and it was like on the table. Yeah. And it was showing like on the camera. They had a camera view. I was really impressed they pulled this off. They had a camera view where it was like showing what you would see in augmented reality, and it was like, that's fucking awesome. I mean, it's useless. I wouldn't want to play Minecraft that way, but it's awesome that the technology is doing that. So yeah, that's cool, but it's really not video games.
Wolfenstein?
I guess I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to say about Bethesda.
It looked really good.
I think Wolfenstein's the Evil Within 2, but I didn't care about the Evil Within 1.
I didn't care about it, but it's interesting to me, and I like Shinji Mikami, and
I want there to be successful horror games out there.
Yeah.
I hope it does well at that.
What interests me, I've been waiting for like a high quality VR horror game. You can't play Resident Evil 7 on PC yet with VR. I wanted to do that, but you can't do it yet.
God, yeah. And I guess, are they planning to do that eventually?
I heard that, but I don't.
I think it was like I heard someone saying like, yeah, it was going to be like a year off or something, and then they were going to release it on the PC.
But if Bethesda is embracing VR as a publisher, and Evil Within 2, it's third person, maybe not.
You can do third-person games in VR, but it wouldn't be effective for horror, I don't think. I don't think the Evil Within will be a VR thing. But I am super happy with.
I really want like a high-quality horror thing, not shooting at zombies that are coming from all around you, or getting jump scared, or putting your hands on the keyboard and letting spiders crawl up it. I want an actual.
I would kill for a version of PT in VR.
Oh,
like showing that to people would be so much fun.
Amazing.
You could have a Halloween party and have people over and just play that game, and it would be fucking wild. People would love it. It would be so cool. That guy, someone needs to do that.
Who made that recreation in Unity of the PT hallway? He should finish it. he
just make the whole fucking VR. Game.
It would work so well. It's first person.
Yeah, and then Konami would come after him, even though they're not selling it.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. I didn't catch that subtitle when I was watching it, but I think that looks fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the
Pretty
way
out
they
there
presented
too.
it. Yeah, I love the way they presented it Metal Gear Solid 4 style with like these TV shows in this reality where it's Nazi versions of TV shows. Lassie with a giant Nazi robot dog, and a game show called German or Else. I would love to know. I would love to see more of that game show. Yeah, it just looks fucking great. And I never finished the modern first Wolfenstein, which is what I was playing not too long ago. I never got around to finishing it. And I don't know why. Something must have come out or something, because I was enjoying it. It's a cool game. I was shocked at how much the narrative actually grabbed me, like how much I actually cared about like the story, because it's well written and like fun, and sometimes I saw Wolfenstein as very comedic, but they play it straight a lot and they're successful with it, and that was really cool. I don't know. I cannot wait to play this game. I think it'll be loads of fun, and it looks like they've gone way crazier with the gameplay and just like kind of gone fuck it. Let's go. Let's just do even more wild shit. And so I think I don't have any complaints about what I've seen of Wolfenstein. It looks fucking great.
I love Doom, and I heard it's in the same family of shooter. Gameplay wise, like really creative.
Yeah. I would say Wolfenstein has much more narrative stuff. Okay. I like Doom's. When it comes to shooting things, Doom is more fun. You're strafing around, you're dodging bullets, and you're shooting stuff, and that's cool. But Wolfenstein has a lot more to it. Wolfenstein has narrative. It has interesting set pieces. It even has like stealth sequences that actually work and that are kind of dynamic in a way. Like you can, like most situations in that game, you can approach from a stealth, like starting from stealth and then like get caught and just shoot your way out. There was way more into that game than I realized. And Doom, for the most part, is just like, here's an arena and here's a bunch of enemies, and here's another arena and here's a bunch of enemies. Wolfenstein is much more of an experience of like, okay, here's a story beat, you know.
Which kind of appeals to me more. So,
Me too. I think I liked the new Wolfenstein. God, the new Doom was so much fucking fun. But the Wolfenstein, just like I said, has more to it. It's a more complete thing to me in my head. Yeah, that's part of why I can't wait for this new one. Is like, if it's anything like the other one, it'll be super cool. All right.
Nintendo? I just want to talk Nintendo.
We can skip to Nintendo. We've got Ubisoft and Sony.
I feel like we've talked about Ubisoft.
Let's
Let's
see. I actually thought Ubisoft had the best conference.
Really?
They pulled out some stuff that impressed me, and they had the fucking Rabbids and Mario thing. I thought that looked surprisingly good. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna play it.
It was XCOM.
Yeah, but hey. And then like there was heart to it. They brought out fucking Miyamoto, and he mentioned the developer, and the camera switches to the developer, and there's tears in this guy's eyes as Miyamoto like says like, oh yeah, and it's like, holy shit, that's so fucking cool. We had South Park, we had Far Cry 5, which is in America, but it's still Far Cry. I mean, whatever. It looks fine. More Assassin's Creed. They showed Assassin's Creed in 4K by filming a tiny 4K monitor outdoors in the sun. I think they must have had a capture card issue or something with that. I don't know. There was a Steep DLC, which who fucking cares? The Crew 2, which kind of surprised me. I think that might have been. I think people knew that was coming, but like the Crew, I don't know if that was very successful for them. I've talked about the Crew.
Anybody cares about the Crew?
I played the Crew. I played a good amount of the Crew. It's a good like podcast game to put on and just kind of race around. But my complaint with the Crew, one, was that it didn't take enough advantage of like having this big open world of like the entire United States. It was fun to drive from one end of the United States to the other. And there were some races where you could do that. Like it was just like a cross-country race or like time trial or something. But not very many of them. Most of them were like, here, do 4 laps around this industrial park. And it's like, well, what the fuck is the point of this huge, cool open world if you're going to make me do 4 laps around an industrial park? I don't think from the looks of the trailer that the Crew from the Crew 1 in that regard. It has planes and boats, which who cares? I don't know. I'm very skeptical of the Crew 2, but if they pulled it off in a cool way, that'd be neat. I mean, the Crew had a good concept. Just the execution wasn't necessarily there. Skull and Bones, which is the pirate game, which I was very excited for when I first saw it, and then I kept watching it, and my excitement went to absolute zero. They've pulled the ship combat from Assassin's Creed and put it into a multiplayer game. It looks like it might be even like the same code, like the same engine and everything. They've turned it into like an esport almost. Like it has like team combat and like strategies and stuff like that, but that didn't interest me at all. I can't. Nope, still can't hear you. You fucked it up. Couldn't hear the slam of anger either. You can hear me, and I'm talking, so I'll keep talking, but get your shit working. It didn't impress me very much in the gameplay department. I thought it looked way too, I guess, gamey. Like if I want a pirate ship combat game, I want it to be like, I want like the ship to dynamic. I can hear you now. Oh no, I can hear myself. Okay, there you are. Yeah, it was very gamey and it was very like esportsy, and like I didn't have much interest in Skull and Bones after it was announced. I would love the idea of a multiplayer ship combat thing, but I don't think that it's going to provide what I want. Transference. I don't remember what Transference was. Starlink Battle for Atlas. I don't remember what that was. Just Dance. Yeah, I don't know. And then they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, that was. I had not played Beyond Good and Evil. I just know it's a classic of some kind. People really like that game, so I'm sure this was a huge deal to a lot of people.
Yeah,
like a Last Guardian level thing.
I think it's people. I think this is like probably the biggest unmet sequel that people have wanted. Like I think I've heard a lot about people rumors and stuff about Beyond Good and Evil.
There's a bigger one, but we'll get to that with Nintendo.
Wait, is that bigger?
I think so. I think more people care about Metroid.
I guess. I did not dig Beyond Good and Evil 2's trailer. The setting looks fucking awesome. I love the like third world cyberpunk, almost like kind of goofy, but like fantastical, but kind of gritty looking. The setting looks fantastic. I was not a big fan of the monkey or anything like that. Like the characters from the trailer just did nothing for me. But cool that they're making that. Good for them. I don't know if there's anything else out of fucking Ubisoft. Someone in the chat mentioned The Last Night, the Gamergate game.
I have not heard about this. What is this?
Maybe that was at Sony. No, I'm pretty sure that was at Ubisoft. I'm not seeing it on this sheet I'm looking at. It's an indie game, and it's cyberpunk, and it has a really cool style to it, which is like
why 8-bit. Is it the Gamergate game? That's what.
Not 8-bit, but it's a pixel art game in 3D with like lighting effects and stuff, and so like there's 2D sprites in a 3D environment, which sounds bad. But it's good. Trust me. It looks really cool. It looks like it has a Blade Runner aesthetic. It looks fucking amazing. It's Gamergate because the developer said that Gamergate was about ethics and journalism back in 2014, and everyone freaked out. And then he went on the PC Gamer Show the next day and apologized. Yeah. Whatever. I definitely don't want to talk about that anymore than I have to. But it looks really.
It's about time to go back on Twitter, do a search for #Gamergate, and just see what the latest
what people are talking about. Well, right now people are probably still talking about that, but you gotta choose a totally dead news time.
Yeah,
just nothing's going on, and just see who's talking about Gamergate. Right
let's check back on Gamergate in 2 years, see where it's at.
Sony.
So
Sony had nothing.
They didn't have much. But they had some stuff. Some of it was very bad. Specifically, I'm talking about Detroit.
Detroit looks fucking awful.
That
and I knew it would.
Trailer was so long. I was
They did graffiti. They did digital AI graffiti. Oh my god.
That felt like it went on forever. For the folks at home, Detroit is the latest David Cage game from acclaimed director David Cage, who's making a David Cage game about being a robot, so it's autobiographical, in Detroit. And they start out with an android guy singing, and it's like emotional or something, I guess, and then there's this bland exchange of dialogue, and then they go out into the street, and then there's some branching paths that are also boring, and the whole thing was just so boring.
Well, David Cage says that this will be interesting because unlike other, movies dealing with AI, such as Blade Runner, his deals with, the humanity of it all.
Yeah,
like it's not just about robots.
About AI and how they're like humans.
It's not just about robots. Like Blade Runner, it's just about a bunch of robots, and it's just Harrison Ford shooting a bunch of robots. This is going to be about the humanity of, are the robots human? Who knows? And so it's like a really unique idea that nobody else has done before. It's going to be great.
Monster Hunter. I don't play Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
That looked pretty cool.
I thought it looked lame. I thought it looked really lame.
Really?
I couldn't put my finger on it. I've watched it a couple times now, and I can't put my finger on it. I can put my finger on one thing, which is that the animation
It did look
of
kind
the
of
monsters.
sluggish.
The animation of the monsters was like all jerky and weird, and yeah, I would call like the main character looks kind of sluggish. Also, the trailer was cut really weird. The second time I watched it, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like they cut between like, well, it looks like different gameplay moments, but they're trying to string them all together. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a monster. I don't know hardly anything about Monster Hunter except from what I've heard of it. I probably wouldn't like it, but as a non-Monster Hunter fan, that just I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. I don't know.
I thought it looked cool. I probably won't buy it, but I
like the idea of hunting a monster in an open world. That's cool. If it's about that, then that seems cool. But I don't know. It just something about it just was iffy to me. I'm really disappointed that Naughty Dog is making another Uncharted game.
That's not new news. And
Is it not?
Not really. This was already announced. This is just when they told us it's coming out. It's coming out August 22nd. It's right around the corner. This is basically just like a launch trailer practically. And it's just a standalone spin-off of Uncharted 4 using the same engine.
Is it a full price game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't quote me.
Yeah, I'm almost feeling like it's almost like a DLC like standalone thing.
That's what I think it is. I think it's kind of like an
I think I've heard something about that too. So maybe it's not as disappointing as I felt. Okay, yeah. So it's probably something that their main team isn't working on. Their main team is probably moving on to something else. Yeah. It's just like, God damn it.
Sony did a similar
there's so
thing.
much talent. Obviously, there's so much talent at Naughty Dog, and like if they just kept making Uncharted games, they'd be like, come on, do something with your talent.
Sony
and it'll probably be Last of Us 2, but still, at least it's something.
That's definitely what the A team is working on for sure. But Sony did a similar thing with Infamous Second Son. They released a spin-off for it called First Light or something, and it was lame, but it was like a standalone, cheaper spin-off, like not DLC, but something you could just get on its own. So yeah, Sony knows how to do that, so they will.
Okay. Cool.
Also, Horizon DLC, didn't play the game, but okay, DLC.
Whatever.
The game's good. What was cool as hell was the Shadow of the Colossus remake reveal. If ever a game could benefit from like a high quality remake, it's that
I
game.
played the
to have that done up with modern.
I played the PS3
just the
remaster.
Visuals, honestly,
I think it is mostly just the visuals. I think they might be changing.
Fucking
oh no!
Bullshit.
Now I can't hear you.
When I see your mouth moving,
I can't hear you.
Nothing's coming out. You can't hear me now? Fuck this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to get a new
for a
fucking
while
box.
Fucking
grief. Anyway, yeah, the visuals getting an upgrade that substantial could be huge for that game.
Yeah, I played the remaster of the PS. They did a PS3 remaster. I think it was PS3. Yeah, it definitely was. And it was fine. It looked good, and I think the gameplay. I've heard people complain about aspects of the gameplay and how they don't age well, but I thought it was pretty much fine. I don't necessarily think it needs it.
I agree with you.
I feel like you can go back and play the visual remaster from the PS3 version, and it's great. But it's cool. I'm glad it's happening. It's cool. They seem 100% faithful to the look of that game. I saw Matthew Matosis was doing a thing earlier where he was kind of recapping E3, and he talked a lot about it. And
oh my god, it's seconds apart now. What the?
Right here.
Fuck this, dude. This is so frustrating. I'm not doing anything. I'm not touching the fucking thing.
Just do the whole podcast like that.
Hey!
but yeah, he had some things to say about like how, oh well, this looks a little bit different, this looks a little bit different, and maybe it's not quite capturing the feel exactly the way it was. The only thing that I would say is like with a lot of those old games, including Shadow of the Colossus, I think the lack of detail is to its benefit in a lot of ways, where your mind kind of fills in some of the details, and the world of Shadow of the Colossus is supposed to be very empty anyway, but like I don't know, adding clutter and stuff might not look right to me, but I haven't seen enough of it to say. Like maybe it's fine. But that would be the only thing that I'd be worried about is like
clutter. I just saw more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe they keep it like with a really simple look, which would be great. Days Gone looks like the most boring game ever fucking made.
It looked like Last of Us Combat. Yeah, it looked like Last of Us Combat.
I just can't imagine the person who's excited for this game. Like it's just like, oh my god.
Zombies.
It just looks so bland. It looks so fucking bland. There's nothing to say about it.
Man, there's like a million zombies and you can kill them all.
I think it's going to be like a super narrative experience thing, but like they haven't shown any narrative stuff that's interesting.
It doesn't look fixated on the narrative like something like The Last of Us would be.
From what they've shown, I agree.
Appeal. But yeah, they're doing something with the story, which is fine. But it's more like, I don't know. I noticed that bit where he's rounding a corner and there's a bunch of zombies that are feasting on bodies or something, and they just are all conveniently looking directly the other way from the player. And then there's the bit where he throws something and makes a distraction and just hides in the bushes, and all the zombies, like clockwork, immediately rushed over there, and none of them like happen to bump through the grass or something.
Yeah.
So like the comic The Walking Dead, I read that back in high school, the original Walking Dead comics. And one of my favorite things about that series was like how it described the herd behavior of the zombies, where eventually they just all clump up, and it's less about them eating you and it's more just like, you can't get away.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like attention to behavior in a zombie game is pretty important. And when it's so easy to just manipulate the AI of a mass of zombies to the point where it's not even a challenge, I don't know.
Yeah, the first trailer did a better job at like demonstrating, okay, here's our gimmick, which is zombie hordes, and here's you having to run from the zombie hordes. And it's like, okay, cool. It didn't look all that great, but it looked more interesting than this showing of it, which was just like nothing. Someone in the chat, just real quick, someone in the chat said that they feel icky about buying a remake of Shadow of the Colossus, and I would say this looks as well. I would understand it if like the remake was changing things, but it looks exactly the same. It's just the same game that they're making. They're making the same game. It's like
it's one of the few.
It looks like it might even be using the same code. I don't know, but
it's one of the few instances where releasing a new Shadow of the Colossus in 2017 and calling it Shadow of the Colossus is fine.
Yeah, it seems like
the same game.
It seems totally faithful. I wouldn't worry about like, yeah, because a lot of remakes do change things where it's like, oh well, I don't feel like I'm getting the original experience that people know this game for, and I would understand that, but that's not. It's very obviously not what's happening with Shadow of the Colossus. Call of Duty World War II.
They used the word gritty in that conversation with Jeff Keighley so many times. I was dying. Dude, they said gritty like over a dozen times.
Great.
And this one's just so much grittier, and you got all the realism, the gritty grits, home fries, egg.
One of the interesting things about the Call of Duty World War II games back in the day was that they would explore different theaters of war. You'd switch between the Americans and like the British and like the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like they're doing that with this one. So that takes out one of the few things that was actually interesting about those games. Whatever. Don't care about it at all, basically. God of War. I was never a God of War player. I don't really. People seem negative on it, and I don't think it looks bad.
No, I like this one a lot more than the first trailer because the first one looked very slow. There was not much
Yeah.
like regular combat. Him hacking away at the regular dudes in this trailer looked more like the God of War I remember and enjoyed.
It seems more like an action game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the story seems like cool. Like, okay, he has like this kid to take care of and whatever. Like, that's probably interesting. It seems like it's probably well done.
Now maybe it's
I don't
just the
know.
ad, but it looks like a lot of cutscenes. Looks like a lot of cutscenes.
It's really hard to say, but hey, if the story's good enough, Metal Gear Solid 4 had a lot of
Sure.
cutscenes, and I liked it a lot. I think that's it. Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Spider-Man, of course. That's how they ended it. Spider-Man.
Yes, okay. Spider-Man's important.
It is important because I liked one of those classic Spider-Man games. Maybe it was like the Spider-Man game that everyone liked on the PlayStation.
Spider-Man 2 is the old favorite.
Yeah,
I think
it was-
Spider-Man 1 is a sleeper hit. I liked that one as a kid.
Okay.
That was the one where you would sling your webs and they would just extend all the way out into space.
I thought Spider-Man 2 did that too.
Spider-Man 2 did not, I thought. I think that was part of why it was so cool that you would... I think you grabbed onto the buildings. I'm pretty sure.
Well, you definitely didn't. I definitely didn't have like a physics to it. I know
That's
that
true.
much.
It was not
like maybe it
physically
maybe it
accurate. You
attached
did
to the
not
buildings, but it
fucking
didn't have like. It's gonna be a great listening experience.
So,
Are we back?
it did not have physics to it, but it at least bothered to angle the web out of your hands. Spider-Man 1, it just shot directly out into the universe.
I feel like I played Spider-Man 1 because I think I remember that happening. Like you could kind of go above the buildings and it was like, what the fuck is he holding on to right now? Oh, and now I can't hear you.
But, okay.
Okay, now I can. I don't know what happened. Now I can't.
What did you think?
Now I can.
What did you think of the new Spider-Man trailer?
The gameplay part of it,
The whole
the
thing.
part where
Whole thing.
well, no, what I'm saying is like I felt like at first when they were showing like it looks like I think they're kind of taking the Arkham series, the Batman games, as an influence of like a lot of stealth, a lot of abilities, kind of taking out groups of enemies one at a time, that kind of thing. That's cool, and I think Spider-Man works even better than Batman for that in a lot of ways. Like I think the things that you can do with the web and the way the combat works looks kind of fun, like the fluidity of it and everything. Like
Yes,
Spider-Man
definitely.
fights in a very interesting way that looks like they animated like super super well. It looks very smooth and very cool, and very satisfying. And then it devolved into QuickTime events, like for like a 10-minute sequence, which was
I'm not worried.
great.
I'm not worried about it.
I think that
I think that was
that's,
just us showing you a scripted piece of the story. I
I agree. I don't think that the game is going to be QuickTime events. The game and the gameplay. I just think it was a bad showing. I think they should have showed a lot more gameplay. I think they should have showed you just fucking going around the city fighting bad guys some more. And maybe that's what, if that's what the game is good at, and that's what it's still, from what little we saw, that seems like it's good at that. Then cool. It's another one of those games, and that's great. But they showed more than half that trailer was just scripted stuff, and there's nothing interesting about that.
Yeah, that's true. I think they lean toward that for the cinematic value and whoa, look at all that. But
I agree. I don't think that's typical of what the game's going to be about.
yeah, I really liked what I saw. I really liked it, and I didn't really care about the game until now, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing.
I didn't know the game was coming out until that. That was a big surprise for me. And like I said, I did enjoy that classic Spider-Man game, and so it is kind of exciting. And like I never really got into the Arkham games, partly because I don't care about Batman at all, and like a lot of those games, like the appeal of those games is characters that you know and love, and I don't know and love any of them. But I'm kind of the same way with Spider-Man. Like I don't know anything about the Spider-Man like the DC universe is both the Marvel. I don't care about superhero fucking stories at all. But Spider-Man as a character to play as is way more interesting to me than Batman for whatever reason.
Well, the mobility, the
mobility. You're right. It's probably just the mobility alone is probably really it. Like flying around with the fucking webs is cool. It looks like it takes liberal use of like hot points that you grab onto and stuff, but it looks like it does that well. Like I would love a PC version of this game where you actually have to aim the web. But
That'll happen.
I know that I'm in a really weird fucking minority on that, like wanting that kind of stuff for my games. So it looks like they've probably done a really good job at it. So yeah, it looks really cool. I was just what blew me away about that trailer, what sold me on it was the animation of the combat.
Hell yeah.
Fucking
That is triple
It looked
animation.
fantastic. It looked really, really, really fantastic and very satisfying. I was very impressed with that. So hopefully it'll be really cool. I thought it was a solid thing to end the conference on. It's just that the QuickTime events really did just kind of like, you're like, oh, okay, scripted. And like, it wasn't an interesting enough sequence for me to,
I guess, but
to justify the QuickTime events.
It's too early to tell. This is the first gameplay we've ever seen, and they showed us one story bit. So
someone in the chat said turn Spider-Man into Persona, where you have to juggle school life and superhero life at the same time. And I think that's a fantastic idea for a very different kind of game. But like,
very brief.
That should be a superhero game. Is like a Persona style. I mean, I don't want full Persona, but like, it actually could be kind of fun to have to juggle that stuff. But that's Sony.
Very brief Persona update on my end.
Oh, okay.
I looped back into the Frame story. The end is in sight, and it's bittersweet. Wow. Like, it's the game where it felt like it would never end, and I was liking it a whole lot. It's like no end in sight. You're just living your life. But as the story is wrapping up, you really feel it wrapping up, and you don't want to let it go.
That's how Persona 4 was. And like I said, I didn't even play it. I watched it, and like, you do get attached to those characters. That's the appeal of the Persona games, basically. It's like you get really attached to those characters. That's cool. Who knows when I'll be able to finish that game? Probably no time soon. I'm probably gonna get a Wii. Wait, what is the Switch? I was trying to call it a Wii something. Still can't get my Nintendo consoles straight in my head. I'll probably get a Switch before I get a PS4. So it might be a very long time before I end up playing Persona. Because I gotta play Zelda, man.
I
fucking gotta play Zelda.
You gotta play Mario Odyssey.
It turns out I do have to play Mario Odyssey because holy shit, that trailer. that was
great. It was
that
fantastic.
was a hell of a thing. When that frog got possessed.
It got a mustache.
Wow. I was not expecting that to be the gameplay gimmick of Mario Odyssey, but it's great. Of course it is, and it's great.
And the song, that's very, very strange.
Oh my god!
But
the song was bizarre.
It worked.
It was very Japanese. Like it sounded like it might have just been like translated straight word for word from a Japanese version of that song.
It seemed like the theme song of a kids show, where it like describes the premise in a song.
Yeah,
and Mario's collecting coins.
Hey, he's throwing hats on the people.
Yeah,
it was very literal, and I
yes,
that
literal. That's the word I'm looking for.
There really wasn't anything else to talk about except for Metroid Prime 4, but there's nothing to talk about Metroid Prime 4.
There's a picture. There's a nice JPEG of Metroid Prime 4, but that alone is enough to get many people riled. Did you play Metroid Prime?
No.
That's why you don't care, because of a series that is as classic as Metroid is. When a Western developer comes in on the GameCube and makes hands down the best one, and then they continue to deliver with 2 more games, those games were incredible. They were. I don't know, the atmosphere especially is what they nail, and especially the first one, being on that jungle planet and just quietly going through all these different areas. There's like this snowdrift facility and not a volcano, but it's like you're in the depths of the planet, and it's huge and it feels interesting to explore. There's all this stuff to discover. You're constantly unlocking new abilities. The pace is just... Those games were, like, some of the best games. And a 4th one is very welcome.
Yeah. I kind of wish they had something to show. because the teaser. I don't know. I one of the things that makes video games a lot more fun of an industry to follow than film is things like E3, where they keep it very secret. What they're working on is very secret, and everything's under wraps, and they don't want anyone to know anything. And like you have these big surprises where they'll release a trailer or something, and it'll be a huge surprise, and everyone gets really excited. And so I love it when a game is in a state where even if you can't really show the game and it's more of like a cinematic trailer, like when they just come out and they're like, oh, here's fucking Metroid Prime 4, and everyone's like absolutely going wild for it. Like that's really cool. But just to know that they're making a Metroid Prime 4, again, I'm not a Metroid fan, so it's a bigger deal for everyone else, obviously. But like to me, it's like a little bit of like you're stealing that moment of like hype, really, of seeing the game for the first time and not knowing that it was in development.
That would be, if they debuted with a gameplay trailer or something, that would be next level. But
I hate it when stuff gets leaked. I think
it's too far off for them to have shown something, and there wasn't enough at this show to begin with. So I think they wanted something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because I was saying on Twitter, like nobody should expect anything out of Nintendo's E3. Like they've for the last couple of years they've been kind of downplaying E3 and like focusing more on their Nintendo Directs and kind of saying outright like, oh well, we're not going to have anything all that interesting at E3 basically. Like so I was expecting much less than this. I was expecting a Mario trailer obviously, and then like all the other stuff they showed, which was basically stuff we knew about. To have a big announcement like that, you're right. Maybe they were just trying to satisfy the fans. It's just kind of surprising because I didn't think they would bother. I thought they just didn't care whether people were disappointed by their E3 conference or not.
What's surprising to me is that they didn't announce a port of Smash Brothers for Switch, which seems weird because this isn't like Melee or Brawl where it had like a name. The last Smash Brothers game, it was called Super Smash Brothers for 3DS, Super Smash Brothers for Wii U. It's like a natural Super Smash Brothers for Switch.
Yeah.
And they really need... They've already got the game finished. You just need some content on the Switch now to play.
I actually thought they were going to announce a Mario Maker for the Switch.
Yeah, that too. It's
I feel like that's inevitably coming, but like, yeah.
Maybe they're going to do some like... I don't know, some Xbox One style backward compatibility where you can just play.
No, I think they'll. No, I don't think that's Nintendo's MO. I think they'll definitely make them for Switch.
That's absolutely their MO.
But with those main games, well, yeah, they do backwards compatibility, but with those main game series, they make them for the console, and like you said, for 3DS, for Switch, for Wii U, for all Super Mario's Wii U, and all that shit. So it's a natural progression, like you said, to just come out with it and it might not be all that different than the Wii U version.
I'd be fine with it being the same.
But it would be a Switch version.
Port it.
Basically port it. But I feel like we probably will get that stuff soon. Like I said, I think they like to give you a slow trickle, and they use those Nintendo Directs to do it. And so that kind of stuff will be announced during Nintendo Directs rather than E3. Probably. Nintendo's a weird company. Yeah. They do weird stuff.
They do things their own way.
Yes. That's E3. That is it.
It is.
Overall, an extraordinarily underwhelming one.
Yeah, very, very low key. I don't blame anybody for that. It's not, well, one, it doesn't really matter what E3 is like at the end of the day. But also, there have been so many top quality launches this year already from basically everybody. And, you know, you gotta have room to breathe.
The only one that I felt like kind of dropped the ball or disappointed, Sony, I felt like should have had more, especially because their E3s have always been really good, and like they showed stuff that we already knew about.
Short.
It felt very short because it was, and they showed stuff that we already knew about, and they didn't show anything or tease anything that was going to be coming past like less than a year off.
Yeah.
And so it's just very and maybe that's their plan, is like, hey, we want to start focusing on the games that are close to completion. But like, it's just weird because like, what is Sony's future right now? They don't have any long-term development stuff.
What's their answer to the Xbox One X? I don't think.
Yeah, maybe they do have another console.
I don't think they're content to have a weaker console for very long.
Yeah, maybe.
That seems like a natural next step.
But yeah, I mean, Sony's thing still is, even after this E3, exclusives. Very, very, very good exclusives. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't a From Software game there, which is fine with me personally, but like, if they're trying to sell their console, like, I would be very focused on saying like, here's all the games that are exclusive to us that we've got that everyone's excited about, and like, they just showed a bunch of shit that we already knew about that was exclusive. God of War.
Yeah, that would have got me.
Hype. Yes, hype.
To have some kind of.
Honestly, if I was Sony, I would have just like, I would have done some sort of From Software teaser and just been like, they're working on something, and like no title or anything. Like I'm trying to think of an example where that's been done. Yeah.
Imagine, like a camera pulling back through a decrepit space station or something, and you're just, before you see anything else, you're just looking at this place. It doesn't have to be a space station. Any setting, whatever. Any interesting setting, and at the very end, From Software.
Yeah.
Cut to black.
No information whatsoever as to what it is. And they've definitely done stuff like that. I don't know about Sony in particular, but like E3 has definitely had those moments. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 was kind of one of those, but like, yeah, just like
Metroid Prime 4 is
just working on something.
That's as teaser gets. That.
Yeah, but at least it has a title, and I'm not even expecting. I wouldn't even say that From Software needs a title. I just want to see their name. I just want to be like, okay, yeah, From Software is working on shit. Of course, with their stuff coming out on PC recently, I don't know. Maybe Sony doesn't. I don't know. Maybe this is a known thing of like what kind of deal Sony has with From Software. They might not have an exclusivity deal with them, so maybe that's not something that they could show really. Whatever. I just thought Sony's was weak. EA's was expectedly boring, and Microsoft, Nintendo, and Ubisoft were. Microsoft was fine. Ubisoft surprised me. Nintendo definitely surprised me because I just didn't expect anything out of them. So, whatever.
Yeah.
I wish there was some big thing that I was like super fucking excited for, but there really isn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
Witcher 3 ruined games for me.
Oh, whatever. Witcher 3 sucks. It's a bad game.
Oh, here we go.
It's not. It's fantastic. But it wasn't even my favorite game of that year.
I understand.
It sucked. Sucked.
But hey,
blue.
I mean, but also something I realized is like my year so far, my favorite game is Nier Automata, and that was something that I didn't give a shit about when it was shown at E3. Like, I couldn't care less about it. Like, it was like, okay, that looks kind of neat, but I'm not into that kind of game. Like, it was totally off my radar.
Before you knew what kind of game it was.
That too, but yeah. If I knew more about like how the story was going to go and all that, but maybe there's stuff like that here where like maybe Monster Hunter, that's coming out on the PC, by the way. Maybe Monster Hunter will actually be something that I could be into. I don't know anything about it really. Who knows?
So that is E3 2017. Can we consider ourselves revolutioned?
I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe that I witnessed the most powerful console ever.
It has more graphics, more teraflops, more gaming, and that's what it's all about, the games. That was funny to me that Sony said the same catchphrase that Microsoft did that other year. They both did it's all about the games this year. All about the games.
I felt like Microsoft's...
Fuck, I cannot hear you. Boo.
I was just going to say...
Got you. Hearing you now.
I felt like Microsoft's conference was a response to Sony's conference from last year, where it was just like, here's a game, and here's a game, and here's a game, and here's a game, and it's all Sony, and here's a game, and everyone was freaking out. Microsoft tried to do that, but they didn't have the exclusives to actually do it with. Yeah. So it kind of fell flat. I mean, like they were just saying exclusive, and then it was like, that's not, Metro isn't an exclusive Xbox game. What are you talking about?
Exclusive premiere. That's my favorite.
Console.
This is where we're showing it first, so we can say exclusive in the title.
So yeah, Microsoft just didn't have the lineup that they needed to pull that off, I felt like. But it was still a pretty strong conference from them. I mean, Crackdown 3 for me personally, that was a big thing, and they have
overall
they have stuff.
Maybe had the strongest showing of games. I don't know. They're all pretty weak generally.
Yeah, they were all pretty weak. I mean, I still think Ubisoft. Well, I said Ubisoft had the strongest conference because it had a lot of heart and it had some good surprises, and it was shocking because it was Ubisoft and nobody expects anything. But Microsoft, you're right. Microsoft might have had the strongest lineup, but that's not really saying anything in comparison to like Sony, Ubisoft, Nintendo, EA. Like what?
Nintendo might take it just with Mario.
Yeah, but I mean, we already knew about Mario.
That's right.
It was a very good. The gameplay gimmick of that game was a great surprise. And we didn't see anything of Metroid Prime 4, and there was nothing else there. So yeah. See you next year.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks.
We'll have to do another podcast soon to
I gotta talk about VR.
We've been into. I can't do it. I'm gonna lose my voice if I go 30 more minutes.
Yeah. Because I'm definitely gonna forget about it by next week. House of Cards Season 5.
Oh my fucking god!
Can we at least talk about that for 1 second?
I didn't expect it to be any good. I mean, it hasn't been good for a long time. But holy shit!
We talked about this last season. I can't remember who brought it up, but at some point over the years, they added an additional wailing opera singer to the intro to that show. And I don't know when it happened, but it was so funny when I noticed it last season. I probably mentioned it.
House of Cards has the most boring intro of any fucking show on television right now.
Yeah. If you actually sit through it, then they added an extra audio track.
I'll take your word for it.
In the background, and it killed me. I was slayed. And it got me again. I laughed out loud again when I heard it.
Did you watch enough of season 5 to see the episode where he goes? I didn't watch the whole thing. I got about probably a third of the way through, and then I just skipped all the way to the end, basically. But like I've never done that with a show before. I've never been so unsatisfied with a show that I've just been like, fuck this. I'll just see how the season ends. But there's that fucking episode where he goes to the cult fucking Illuminati place, which apparently is based on a real thing that is kind of similar in some ways, but like not. It's that show is just fucking. And then like they're showing like, oh yeah, he's gonna upload his brain to the AI on this smartphone. That's when I stopped watching. That's when I was like, fuck this show. This is fucking absurd. This is terrible.
It started out
and every time it goes to the fucking plot line with the what's her name, the first lady, and her fucking writer fuckboy. He's the least interesting person in the world, and I don't ever want to see him in any scene ever. And he was on the screen constantly, and it was like, God.
Your eyes, do they want to be the president?
Oh God, I hated it.
That show. Somebody asked on Twitter if it was like good stupid or bad stupid. I think it started out good stupid, like it was entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it has devolved into just outright retarded stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is the latest season is approaching so bad it's good.
I'd agree. Especially the last shot, the last moment of the last.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
There's a few things that happen where you're just like this. Like I wish I was here to share this with someone because I'm almost enjoying how bad it is.
But I'd be embarrassed to watch it with anybody else at this point.
Well, just to make fun of, you know. But but it's also so boring that it really isn't good for that, because there's just a lot of fucking scenes where it's like a slow thing of the fucking speechwriter guy not doing anything and just bullshit, just fucking bullshit. What a terrible show.
Yeah,
Shocking. And it's very popular, and I guess people are still watching it. I mean, I guess we classify as people, but
it's extremely cynical about its like outlook on politics, human nature, at the same time that it's so harshly judgmental about the way things are. It is beyond retarded.
Yep.
Stupidest shit ever at this point. And that is untenable. You can't take that seriously when it is, I don't know. It's so scathing and nasty all the way through, and it's also extremely dumb.
And I also maybe this is partly because I just couldn't keep paying attention to it, but like I didn't know what was happening about half the time. I was like, what are these characters' goals? Who's good? Who's bad? Who's working with who? It was just totally fucking muddled and confusing and stupid, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, there was a point where like a text came up on the screen on like, you know, like the Sherlock style, we're looking at the text.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who the person was that was sending the text, and then the person who read it, they started crying, and I didn't know why. And I was paying attention, kind of.
It's bad when a character cries and you don't know why.
And then there were like a couple scenes, I can't remember them specifically because they were so confusing, but I was following what the characters were saying to each other, and then like Frank Underwood said something, and I was like, what does that mean? And it wasn't like a cryptic kind of comment. It was like, who the hell put this conversation together on a page? I don't know.
Ugh.
It's an outright awful show now.
If it weren't, it's schlock. That show is schlock, but in a bad way. Like there is such a thing as entertaining schlock, and it's not that. But
yeah, Jojo Fine, he pinned it down. It's dark, retarded West Wing.
Yeah, it would be so much worse without Kevin Spacey too.
It would be nothing without Kevin Spacey,
because he's so good, and his monologues are still good because it's Kevin Spacey saying them, but they're terribly written and everything. But like, it's still Kevin Spacey being Kevin Spacey, and
it'd be nice to see him in something good again.
That's such a God, and but that's such like a core thing in that show that like holds it together, or like not holds it together, but like it's the semblance of life that show has. I'm trying to imagine it without him, and like how much like a fucking. It would be like a fucking high school project or something. It's so fucking bad. But anyway, we're agreed. It's bad. I need to eat and rest my throat.
It is time.
I've talked a lot tonight.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you later. Definitely got stuff to say about VR. Persona.
Yeah.
Come at you another time. Thanks.
Whew.